In this lesson, we will start an in-depth analysis about designing an effective sanctions compliance program. A robust sanctions compliance program is built on 5 foundational elements: management, commitment, risk assessment, internal controls, testing, auditing, and training, supported by a risk-based approach and comprehensive screening policies. Effective design integrates regulatory expectations, advanced technology, and industry best practices to mitigate legal, financial, and reputational risks. Elements of an effective compliance program. A well-designed sanctions compliance program is anchored in the following 5 pillars, as recognized by OFAC, the EU, UK, OFSI, and the EU. Management commitment, senior leadership support is critical for an effective compliance program, including adequate resource allocation, fostering a strong compliance culture, and ensuring board-level oversight with compliance integrated into executive KPIs. Risk assessment, a risk-based approach, is central, requiring organizations to identify, evaluate, and document inherent and residual sanctions risks across customers, products, geographies, and third parties. Risk assessments must be updated regularly and in response to business or regulatory change. Internal controls. Effective controls include written policies, automated screening systems, payment filtering, and robust due diligence. Screening must cover all relevant sanctions lists and apply ownership control rules, e.g., the 50% rule. Real-time monitoring and clear escalation procedures are essential. Testing. 7-NAMP, auditing. Regular independent audits are required to test the adequacy and effectiveness of the program. Findings must be reported to senior management and deficiencies promptly remediated. Training. Comprehensive role-based training is mandatory, with documentation of attendance and regular updates to reflect regulatory changes and emerging risks. A robust, risk-based approach to sanctions compliance requires organizations to systematically identify, assess, and document risks, using dynamic methodologies that adapt to evolving regulatory and geopolitical landscapes. Effective sanctions compliance begins with a structured risk assessment methodology that enables organizations to identify, evaluate, and manage exposure to sanctions-related risks. This process is grounded in international best practices and regulatory expectations, ensuring that controls are tailored to the specific risk profile of each organization and remain responsive to changes in the external environment. Identification and classification of risk factors. Sanctions risk assessment begins by identifying key risk factors. Geographic risk involves exposure to high-risk jurisdictions like Russia, Iran, or North Korea. Customer risk includes dealings with politically exposed persons, PEPs, entities with opaque ownership, or those in sanctioned sectors. Product-to-service risk arises from offerings like trade finance, virtual assets, or luxury goods, which are prone to misuse. Transaction risk is higher in complex, high-value, or multi-intermediary transactions. Lastly, third-party risk stems from agents, suppliers, or distributors in high-risk regions, requiring enhanced due diligence. Risk scoring and prioritization. Organizations use structured frameworks to assign risk ratings and prioritize mitigation efforts. Inherent risk assessments evaluate customers, products, geographies, and transactions. Control effectiveness assessments measure the strength of existing controls, such as policies and training. The combination of these factors determines residual risk, which guides resource allocation. Advanced tools like AI and machine learning are increasingly used to refine risk scoring and detect hidden patterns, improving efficiency and accuracy. Dynamic and ongoing assessment. Sanctions risk assessments must be dynamic, with continuous monitoring to account for new sanctions, geopolitical events, or changes in customer behavior. Integration with AML/CTF frameworks ensures that sanctions risks are assessed alongside anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing risks. Regular scenario analysis and stress testing validate the effectiveness of controls, ensuring organizations can adapt to emerging threats and maintain compliance. Documentation requirements. Comprehensive documentation is critical for regulatory compliance. Organizations must maintain detailed risk assessment records outlining methodologies, findings, and mitigation strategies. Audit trails should capture all screening and investigation activities for regulatory review. Additionally, policy manuals and training logs must document written procedures and ongoing staff education, ensuring that compliance programs remain effective and up-to-date. In the next lesson, we will conclude the topic of designing an effective sanctions compliance program by focusing on screening policies and procedures. This critical component involves implementing risk-based screening processes for clients, transactions, and third parties, supported by robust internal controls and technology. Effective screening ensures compliance by identifying and mitigating sanctions risks in real time.